In this build along tutorial, we'll be building a mount to hold a gyroscope that attaches to our SparkBot. After you've got FreeCAD open, begin by making a new part in the part design workbench. From the tasks tab, create a body, create a sketch. I'll add that sketch to the XY plane. And now that we're in the sketcher workbench, I'm going to use the create polyline tool. And we're going to create a block that has a corner cut out of it. And so the block looks something similar like this. If you didn't end up with parallel lines when you were doing this, so let's pretend that when you made your polyline, one of your lines looks a little kilter, just click on the line and go up to the constrain horizontal or constrain vertical tool, choose the appropriate constraint, and that will give you right angles for each corner on this shape. We're going to begin by constraining the short segment here on the right hand side, and we're going to constrain that to a horizontal distance of 5 millimeters. And we're going to constrain the vertical length right underneath it to 8 millimeters. And I'm going to adjust the shape a little bit here, and I'm going to make this shape symmetric around the origin. So I'm going to click in the top left corner, left click in the bottom right corner, left click in the origin, and I'll click on Constrain Symmetric. Next, I'm going to set the width of the bottom line on our block, and I'm going to set that to 29.2 millimeters. And lastly, I'm going to constrain the height of this overall shape by left clicking on that left line, and we're going to constrain it to 12 millimeters. So at this point, our shape is fully constrained and we can close out of it. And we're now going to pad out this shape to 8 millimeters. And this allows for the size of screws that we're using for this part. Directly underneath this part will be the 9-volt battery box, and we don't want the screws scraping on the 9-volt battery box. All right, so we're going to add a couple of circle features to the top of our blocks, which will later become holes. Left click on the top of your block and click on Create Sketch. And now that we're back in the Sketcher workbench, we're going to create a circle in these bottom two quadrants. And we're going to set the distance between the center of this left circle and the bottom line. And so we're going to use the Create External Geometry Reference tool, and we're going to reference that bottom line. So left click on that left circle, left click on the end of that line segment, and we're going to constrain the horizontal distance for this circle to 3 millimeters. And we're going to constrain the vertical height of this circle to the same. So 3 millimeters and 3 millimeters. Now on the other side, we're going to constrain it with reference to the right end of this line segment, and we're going to do it for high and for wide. So constrain horizontal distance to 4 millimeters, and we're going to constrain the vertical distance to 4 millimeters. Last thing that we need to do is set the diameters for these circles. The left-hand circle, I'm going to constrain the diameter to 2.8 millimeters. And the right-hand circle, I'm going to constrain the diameter on that one to 3.1 millimeters. So now our shape is fully constrained and we can close out of the Sketcher workbench. So let's create a pocket by clicking on the Pocket tool, and we will set the depth of that pocket to 8 millimeters. Rotate the shape just to confirm that the pocket's cleared through the shape. And now we're going to add another circle to the top of this block. So once again, left click on the top face and create sketch. And we're going to create another circle, and we're going to reference this left-hand circle that we created earlier. So create external geometry reference tool, reference that circle, and we're going to left click in the center of that left circle. We'll left click in the center of the circle we just created, and we'll constrain the two circles to the same horizontal plane. We're also going to set the diameter of both circles to be equal. And because we're referencing a circle, that means our new circle will be set to the diameter of the referenced circle. Lastly, we're going to set the horizontal distance between these two circles, and that horizontal distance is set to 15 millimeters. Okay, so our hole is fully constrained, and we can close out of the Sketcher workbench. Now this one, we're going to pad this shape out. This is going to be a pin that holds on to one of the holes in the gyroscope. So we'll pad that out 2 millimeters. And the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to cut away the right-hand side of this shape. So left-click on the top face and create a sketch. And we're going to reference the two right-hand vertical edges here. So create external geometry reference tool, and we're going to reference these two edges, and we're going to create a rectangle. So click on the create rectangle tool, and you're going to left click on that bottom right vertex, drag that box up, and left click short of that top line. And now click on a top line and click on the end of that top line segment. And we're going to use the constrained coincident tool, and that locks our rectangle to the top of our block. The last thing that we need to do now is constrain the horizontal distance of the block to 8 millimeters. And now we're going to take and we're going to pocket this. So the sketch is fully constrained. Close out of the Sketcher workbench, and we're going to pocket this shape now to 5 millimeters, and that's the default selection. So we're going to say OK. And now we're going to add some cosmetic fillets to the edge here. This is a pivot. This whole mount will pivot on a screw here. So let's begin by rotating the block up, and we're going to grab that top left edge there, and we're going to grab this top inside edge. Remember to hold down Control while you're clicking the second edge so that you have two edges selected. And we're going to use the fillet tool, and we're going to fillet that to 1.5 millimeters. And now we're going to rotate the block again, and we're going to highlight the bottom edge there. Hold down Control, grab the edge just above it, and we're going to fillet these ones to 3 millimeters. And so there we have a nice cosmetic filleted edge on our pivot. So that's all there is to the gyroscope mount. And now we can attach that to the top of our 9-volt battery box.